सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। First verse of the 16th chapter. Sharda, you will chant. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
Swamiji, just 1 minute. I need to share. 1 second. What?
Acha, the 16th chapter.
1 second. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha.
अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः.
अथ षोडशो अध्यायः.
When you say that, संधि है अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः.
अथ षोडशोऽध्यायः.
श्रीभगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
अभयं सत्त्वसंशुद्धिः
अभयं सत्त्वसंशुद्धिः
ज्ञानयोगव्यवस्थितिः
ज्ञानयोगव्यवस्थितिः
दानन्दमश्च यज्ञश्च
दानन्दमश्च यज्ञश्च
स्वाध्यायस्तप आर्जवम्.
स्वाध्यायस्तप आर्जवम्.
Yes. Who else? Riya is there?
Yes, Swamiji.
Meeting is transcribed. We don't need transcription anyway. It's okay. Riya chant. Ahimsa satyam akrodha.
Ahimsa Satya. It's not showing.
Now. Ahimsa satyam akrodha.
Ahimsa Satyamakrodaha.
Yagashantirapaisunam.
Tyagashantirapaisunam.
Daya bhuteshvaloluptvam.
Daya Bhuteshvalolutvam.
Mardavam rirachapalam.
Mardavam Rirachapalam.
Who wants to chant next?
I can try, Swamiji.
Sarvajit. तेजः क्षमा धृतिः शौचम्.
तेजः क्षमा धृतिः शौचम्.
अद्रोहो नातिमानिता.
अद्रोहो नातिमानिता.
अद्रोहो नातिमानिता.
अद्रोहो नातिमानिता.
भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीम्.
भवन्ति सम्पदं दैवीः.
अभिजातस्य भारत.
अभिजातस्य भारत.
Good.
Thank you, Swami.
Yes. So the 16th chapter, what is it named as? Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yogo Nama Shodashodhyaya. Daiva Asura Sampat. And this Daivasura Sampat, Daiva, you know, and Asura also, you know. And Sampat means all the Sampatti, the qualities. Then Daivasura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Yoga means topic. Is this 16th chapter? Where is the seed of this? Bhagwan had mentioned in the 9th chapter,
Ninth chapter.
2 shlokas. Mogasha Moga Karmana Moga Jnana Vichetasah Rakshasi Masurim Chaiva Prakritim Mohinim Shritaha. So Mogasha, those who are of false hopes, Moga Karmana, whatever they are doing rituals, they are an error in doing, and all flimsily they are doing. Moga Jnana, their knowledge is erroneous. All what is taught, it is their own minds. And Vichetasa, they are Vivekhin. They don't have, they are devoid of Viveka. And these are all Rakshasim, Asurim, Chaiva, Prakritim. So this Prakriti in short was mentioned in the 9th chapter in 12th verse. So this is the Prakriti and this is Mohini Prakriti. This is the Prakriti which really dilutes. And these are the people who are Ashrita. Whereas 13th verse said, whereas all the other people, Mahatma Anaha, the virtuous people, Daivim Prakriti Ashrita, Ananya Manasa Bhajanti, they are worshipping with single pointed mind. Ananya Manasa, their mind is totally sattvic. And that is what is said in short there, which is elaborately told in the 16th chapter here. Why these values and attitudes are required? For the preparation of the mind. This is a must. There are 3 gunas, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Elaborately, the next chapter is going to talk about it. And Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So some people, it is not to talk of that I am Sattvic, you are Rajasic, this is Tamasic. It is not to label as such. It is not labeling of people, of qualities. It is just to understand these values and attitudes so that I can be prepared for this ultimate knowledge, that ultimate end, that what is my purpose of life. That for that purpose, that Vyavasayatmika Buddhi, that clarity of purpose is there. For that purpose, what is needed, a kind of a mind which is needed, has to be consciously developed. You see, this mind has to be trained, and this you have to consciously develop. There has to be some discipline. Chalta hai attitude will not work. People, you know, just chalta hai, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, सब कुछ ठीक है, ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है. Swamiji once in the class said, ये भी ठीक है, वो भी ठीक है. And in Sunday class, for the people of in Coimbatore, people were there, and one small girl used to come to Swamiji's class, and Tamilian. So A भी ठीक है, O भी ठीक है. So she write A B T K O B T K in English alphabets in her notes. Swamiji said so. Swamiji laughed so much after seeing that. You see? So then, very sweet girl that was. I always remember whenever I say A bhi theek hai, wo bhi theek hai. So I am reminded of that anecdote. Lovely it is. A bhi theek hai, wo bhi theek hai. So what I mean to say that it is not pajama. Swamiji used to say pajama thinking, loose thinking. Pajama is all loosely weird, na? Worn. So pajama is, North Indians are all wearing pajamas. You won't see pajamas so much in the South. They all wear dhotis. So this pajama thinking is loose thinking. There's no discipline. There's no effort. Conscious effort is not there to really look into one's own mind. Where are the flaws? Where you can look into the flaws and where you can correct yourself. It is not to look outside that ये सात्विक है वो ये तामसिक है इसके अंदर and labeling people. That is not the thing. We have to look within that how I am going to gain through these chapters, through these values which have been enumerated so that I have them. That is the introduction Swamiji gives to this chapter. Anybody wants to add any point, whatever Swamiji said? You all are well read. Yes, Rajiv, anything else?
Swamiji, Swamiji had given definitions of Raksha and Asura also in the same, comparing.
But he does not want to translate those words right now. Saying Rakshasa is one from one who has to protect oneself. रक्षा जिससे हमको अपनी रक्षा करनी पड़े वो राक्षस है. So once you have to protect yourself from something and somebody, that person from whom you have to protect yourself, that is Rakshas. And Asura is also, he is not willing to translate right there now ki Asuric tendencies or Tamasic. So Asura is also this Prakriti, Mogasha, Moga Karmana in the 9th verse, what was said, they are of that Prakriti. Their karmas are like that. And they are in the category they come of in Asura Prakriti, Rakshas Prakriti. You wanted to say something about that?
Swamiji, it's the same only, and Swamiji, basically the import of this chapter is just to prepare, because we have to understand cognitively by using our mind, and mind or intellect, and intellect will require maturity. And maturity of mind has certain features which are to be followed by a mukshu or a jigyasu who is trying to get out of samsara. So Devi
Yes.
Sampat helps us to understand what is to be inculcated, and this is basically a kind of a tapas or abhyasa also, to create or inculcate such Devi Sampat in yourself. Ultimately, as you said, that is, in 3 gunas, we need to dwell more of a sato guna. The whole effort, our whole sadhana is to create or improve upon yourself and create those sattvic tattva, so that we can, because Ishvara or freedom, freedom from samsara or moksha cannot be gained without you being a sattvic. So all these are manifestations of a sattvic mind. So ultimately, they'll help us to gain maturity by following the footsteps or following these descriptions in our mind, and trying to achieve them in our life. And
Yes.
these are to be basically assimilated and assimilated, and they to be followed in life. If they are just, these are not for academic discussions only or for a judgment on others. They are part and parcel of yourself. Once they become part and parcel of yourself, then only we can say that we have made some headway in life.
Yes. Sharda, the question here arises that why these values are important and why one has to be tough with oneself to really adapt all these values. Why? Because
If you are a spiritual seeker, you have to build your Daivik Sampatti, or the spiritual wealth, as we could probably translate it into. Because if you want to go on the path, if you are a mumukshu, you want to know the real truth, there are certain preconditions, there are certain qualifications. You need to become an adhikari to be able to even reach that far. And for all that, to develop into a karma yogi and then further go beyond in your contemplation and to do all the various actions that the Gita has prescribed over these various chapters that we have read, we need to first build our character. We need to build our internal, it's called the antahkarana. So the antahkarana has to be made shuddh, and that can only be done if we constantly strive and make efforts towards these ends. Because right at the beginning of this chapter, in fact, Swamiji mentions that you may feel sometimes that you have both. You have a bit of Devik and a bit of the Asuri Sampati in you. Sometimes you behave like a Moga Shah or a deluded person. Sometimes you make erroneous judgments. But that is what we have to prevent. We have to gradually build our Devi Sampati and remove the Asura and the Rakshasa qualities. Because we all, obviously, because we are living life, we have a whole lot of reasons, a whole lot of conditioning that happens, which gets us to develop a lot of these Asuric tendencies. And as we read further and read what are the specifics of the qualities that we need to develop, we'll understand more clearly what is it that we have to work towards.
Because at the outset, you have to be very clear about what do you want from life.
Life, exactly.
What do you really want? Do you want to stay in this bondage, this sense of limitation, this sense of lack which you are experiencing day in and day out? Or you want to really grow out of it? If you are clear that you want to grow out of it, still you are hooked to certain tendencies of the mind which take you down, which make you bound again and again into the same area from where you want to freedom. So do you want freedom or do you want to be bound?
Yes.
So that
Because
is what clear understanding, clear picture. That is why this is the most important. That is why I merged these two classes in spite of studying all the 15 chapters. Now people think that we are suddenly on jump to 16th and we are still, the new students will think we are only on the second. Swamiji, how come you have taken us to 16th? But really speaking, the Gita ends in the 15th chapter. And that is why you can see the whole tone of the Gita is about values and attitudes. What you have to really do with your minds to be sincere and honest seekers, so to say, that sincerity and honesty will speak when you look into these pages, into what Krishna is saying, and how you can imbibe all such values and attitudes.
Yes, I think in one sentence, if we have to put it, the Devi Sampati gives you freedom from samsara, and the Asuri or Rakshasa tendencies keep you bound and bonded to samsara.
More and more,
Yeah. More and more.
samsara is
Increases your bondages, in fact. So if you want freedom, you want to get out of limitedness, and you want to be, you want to experience Aham Brahmasmi in its true sense, understand Ishvara and your true self, then you've got to develop your Devik Sampati.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Swamiji, as Sharda said that at times you may have Asuri or a Rakshasi Pravati also. That's very much natural for a human being who has not matured.
Yeah.
And you can have some progress, and then there can be reversal also, because this sampati is not easy to build up. This wealth is not easy to collect. So you have to keep doing the abhyasa again and again and again and again. Every time you fail, you don't just get angry with yourself, but make a resolve again that I'll not do the same mistake again. By this method of trying and trial and failing and succeeding, and ultimately they should get into your habit or become subconscious over a period of time. So that whole conduct of yours reflects that Devi Sampati. Unless your conduct reflects that, then you have not reached there. And it's important to have it because ultimately in contemplation or nididhyasana will give rise to jnanam. So for you to have that mental peace, mental maturity, or a mind which is available to you all the time, you should get rid of your Asuri or Rakshasi property, because they'll stop you from being there.
Definitely. thinking, you need a vichara, because the sense of lack and the sense of inadequacy, insecurity, which is centered on the self, where it is coming from. At the outset, we say this is coming from non-thinking. You have never thought about it. Who are you? This sense of lack, it is there and you accept it and you try to remove the sense of limitation and sense of lack, doing so many other things in life in the realm of dharma, artha, kama. In these purusharthas, you are trying to put all your mind and really some means and ends you adopt in life, not knowing where you are going towards. And therefore, thinking is required for the thinking to happen. And that thinking is not by one's own mind. That thinking is guided thinking through the scriptures, through the understanding, through the rishis thinking, through the Upanishads, through the Bhagavad Gita. That kind of a thinking is required. So therefore, you need a contemplative mind. For the contemplative mind, you need a conflict-free mind. For a conflict-free mind, you need a mind which really obeys your own conscience to do what is to be done and to avoid what is not to be done. Not to be a slave to your likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes you can have, but not opposed to dharma. So dharma becomes of utmost importance. And therefore, when you live a life of dharma and overcome your likes and dislikes, which you are taking away from your desired end, ultimate end, that is what is needed. And that is why you have to look very with a lens in the hand, all the negativities of the mind and weed out all what is unwanted. So that is why we begin this. Anybody wants to say anything?
Swamiji,
Yes.
that actually all of us are having the three pravritti, Dev pravritti or Asur pravritti and Manav pravritti. And somewhere in Upanishad, I don't remember, but it was mentioned that three Ds are important. Dan, Daya and Dameta. If person is having a sort of Asura pravritti, then he has to have a Dameta, that is self-restraint. If he is having the Manav pravritti, then he must go for the charity, that is Dana. And if he's self-restraint is for Deva, and Daya is meant for the Asuri pravritti. So all the three combination, one has to have it.
Imbibe. Very rightly. We have discussed this before. Dhanam is for human mind.
Yeah.
Because it is all, aggrandizing, and you think it is all mine, and therefore you don't know how to share your wealth. Daya is for asuras,
Yeah.
rakshasas who are asuras who are really overpowering and all the time. Daya is needed for them. And third one you said for the devas is
Dameta,
Dameta.
self-restraint.
self-restraint.
Dameta.
Damyata नहीं dama. Dama.
Dameta लिखा था.
Damyata नहीं in some.
Dameta, I've seen somewhere it was mentioned. Dameta. It relates to Daya only.
So dama is.
No, it's not Daya.
It's
It
not
is
daya,
restraint.
but restraint.
Oh,
Dama.
restraint, self-restraint.
Yes. Daya is for devas. And
No,
dama is for asuras, right?
No, Daya is meant for Asuras.
Daya
Because
is for
generally they are in
asuras
habit of killing, na? They are in habit of killing. So have some mercy,
Daya
have
is for
sympathy,
asuras
have
and
compassion. Yeah.
dama is for
Dhamma is for
restraint
devas.
Dhamma is for Deva.
Yes, the dama is for devas, right? So we had discussed these three Ds, and that is why all three are needed, because we have all these three tendencies now and then. So all the time we may not be sattvic. So sometimes tamas will come, sometimes rajas will come, sometimes sattva will come. So when and how, if you are alert and conscious and disciplined in yourself about your goals and about your aims and objectives, about your productivities, then you will be living consciously and alertly to weed out what is unwanted. Yes, this verse of introduction is good enough for this chapter. So, Abhayam Sattva Samshuddhi Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti Dhyanam Damascha Yagyascha Swadhyaya Tapa Arjavam. So this is the first verse, right? So here we go. Abhayam. What is Abhayam? Freedom from fear. Swamiji writes. So Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, you know all that. Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan, you know. And that is Krishna as Bhagavan is saying. Abhayam. What is Abhayam? Freedom from fear. What kind of a fear is there? Hmm?
All kinds of fears.
Not
Swamiji.
All kinds of
Fear,
fear.
fear from losing.
the
Death.
three main ones.
Main fear is sense of duality, actually. You know, the sense of duality gives rise to the fear. The sense of duality from, Dvaitat Bhayam Bhavati, Upanishad says. Taittiriya Upanishad says, Dvaitat Bhayam Bhavati. From the second, wherever there is second, any second, whatever it can be. And first is this duality is the most biggest fear is from death. कोई मरना चाहता है? कोई नहीं मरना चाहता. यू थिंक यू आर इटर्नल. तुम कब से प्लान कर रहे हो अपनी लाइफ को? क्या प्लानिंग करते हो इटर्निटी के लिए? अभी कितना 5 साल बचे, 10 साल बचे, किसी को नहीं मालूम. नेक्स्ट मोमेंट का भी नहीं मालूम. Nobody knows about the very next moment whether you'll be alive tomorrow or not. Swamiji used to say when you wake up, today I put some tattva vicharana that you have 24 hours today, now, present. That's all. Who knows about tomorrow? Whether you wake up or not. So you are these precious moments. So therefore death, the fear of death is the biggest fear, and that to be free from the sense of duality and from the sense of this fear of death, it will only come by this knowledge. So Abhayam, relatively speaking, is fear from so many other things. And then what Swamiji says, you people have read everything, you can come out with that. What are the sources of Swamiji says primary one is death. So that cannot be gone unless you know Atma, Satchidananda Atma, your own true nature. Who are you? So when you are identified with this body, mind, sense complex, all the limitations of the body, all the limitations of the mind, all the limitations of the intellect, you are superimposing, and then because the sense of limitation, mortality comes, then the fear of death will come. Mind is limited, knowledge is limited, and therefore all that fear, because the knowledge of Atma is not there. And this fear is also what Swamiji says, it's an emotion. And this emotion is instinctive. This emotion is instinctive. And such that nobody wants to die. Instinctive he says, कोई भी living being है, what happens to that living being? मच्छर को मारो, आप मच्छर बैठा है आपके टांग पर. You have to really be very to kill that mosquito. Mosquito will run. Knows, and where it also knows where to sit, at the backside of your leg or where it is not to be seen. It will bite you like that. So there's an instinct to there, and therefore it always runs away from its predator.
Survival instinct.
Survival instinct is there. So that fear is there. So that fear is born out of love for the survival. And therefore, you need a cognitive appreciation that I am the Atma, not subject to death. That I will die is that thing that I will die. Who will die? That you have to see. The body will die. And that body will die, changing is changing. And changeless is changeless. In the second chapter, we already studied that in the second chapter, all the Sankhya Buddhi, which was explained from the verse number 11 onwards. You know? Ashocyanan vachochastam pragyavadamsha bhashase gata sona gata sumsha nanu shochanti pandita. Very powerful first verse of the teaching. You should not forget that what you had studied. Gatasun agatasumsya. Person for the whose prana has gone and the prana is yet to go. For one, the prana has gone. Gatasun and agatasun. That prana is not gone but can go anytime. For that, once you know Atma, Panditaha na shochanti, na anushocanti. They do not grieve. That's what we had studied. You know? And whatever is put together will disintegrate someday. Like your car. Car is put together, it will disintegrate. Right? So these are the fears. Anybody can add some points if you think from your own mind or from book or from Swamiji. What is Abhaya?
Three main points that Swamiji brought out is fear of death, fear of the future, or basically uncertainty about the future, and fear of loss of your own possessions or loved ones. These are our main fears. And he's brought out some nice stories to overcome those, like
What
death
story?
being the old man who's sitting in this crowded room waiting to talk to you, but you are so
So you
busy
know what
talking
is
to
this story
everybody
about?
else.
What is this? Whose story it is? Yeah, tell the story. It is about Tapavan Maharaj. Tapavan Maharaj told to Chinmaya, his devotees in
Acha.
Uttarkashi, when he was going to die. He died on 16 January 1957. It was just around that time, 1957, 16th January. So that time when his devotees came and they were all very morose, sad. And then this is the story. Tell the story. Sharda.
My story tha that he's sitting around and basically everybody is talking to each other and saying, but he
The
is,
thing is, I suppose you are talking to some group of people
mm,
and an old man comes and there and sits.
he is sitting waiting to talk to you.
You have never met him before. And
Yes.
you are talking to all the other people, and then he comes and sits and waiting for you, and you waiting.
And one by one, you talk to everyone and they all start leaving.
Leaving.
And this one person keeps sitting in the end.
So will you talk to him or not? That is what he says, that death. So Tapavan Maharaj said, the day you were born, from that day itself, death is waiting for you.
This old man has entered your room.
Yes. So just imagine.
But you're not talking to him, you're talking to everyone else.
Yes. That is what story is. Yeah, that's nicely said. So Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhihi. Sattva is here the mind actually. Sattva means Sattva Shamshuddhi, the purity of the mind. Sattva always does not mean Sattva Guna. Sattva here means the mind, the purity of the mind you require. Right? So Sattva Shamshuddhi means purity of mind. What do you have to require? Why require purity of the mind? Riya. Have you studied?
Yes, Swamiji, not that well this time, but yes, I've studied a bit.
You're not prepared today?
Not that much, but I can still. I think purity of mind is required, because once you have purity of mind, if you have a clean mind, you have a conflict-free mind, right? And once there is a conflict-free mind, it is then when the knowledge would be able to assimilate. If you don't have if you don't have a eka buddhi, if your mind is going here and there, all thinking about various things, what you have done and what lies you have said, or what bad you might have done to someone, you'll always have that conflict free mind. And if you have that conflict free mind, you don't have the eka buddhi, and that knowledge would not be able to assimilate. So purity of mind is really important, to have this self knowledge and to be able to contemplate on oneself.
Yes. Anybody else?
Swamiji, giving up of deceit, cheating, and falsehood.
These are also purity of the mind. Giving up deceit, cheating, and falsehood.
Swamiji, Shuddhi is actually raga dveshas only.
Yes.
Basically, what makes you do all this is your raga dveshas. So unless you neutralize raga dveshas, as Riya said, that mind will not be available, and you can work with available mind only.
Good.
And no, unless you neutralize them, you have that chit nischalya. Once you neutralize raga dveshas, and then only you can have some shuddhi. Otherwise, it will not be possible.
Yeah.
So it makes mind available for contemplation, vichara.
Yeah, right. So unless you have purity of yes, who's speaking?
No,
Shanti.
I was just wondering, is it necessary? I mean, even if you have a few ragas and dveshas and you want to, you've not yet got over those deep attachments, you can have a clean mind as in free from deceit. Is it? I mean, this is just because Rajiv ji mentioned it. I haven't thought
We
about it.
never say you cannot have likes and dislikes in life. You
Yes.
can very well have likes and dislikes. So that is why neutralize word does not mean that you have to eliminate likes and
Okay.
dislikes.
True.
The word neutralize means you are not under their sway. You are
Yes.
fulfilling your likes and dislikes according to dharma. According to dharma.
Yes.
Because what is the purpose? At the outset, the clarity of purpose is there. That you are seeking yourself. That adequate. So once you become a slave to your likes and dislikes, you go out of the way to do anything to fulfill your desires. Then you become bound. Then that is not wanted. And that creates impurities in the mind.
That accepted. But could there be a situation where you are still bound to your ragas and dveshas to an extent, but you won't go to the point of cheating and deceit?
The cheating and deceit, nahi, you are bound, but you can go to any extent. I mean to say that boundary crossed is crossed. Whether you go
To say that you cannot be free of cheating and this thing unless and until you have neutralized your ragas and dveshas.
Neutralization does not mean that you are given up likes and dislikes.
Because neutralization will take a slightly longer time. It's not that easy to neutralize, especially for your own child. And I won't kill for my son, but I will still be so deeply connected to him.
Yes.
Said in the beginning that you have to fulfill your raga and dvesha as per the dharma. As long as you're following dharma, you can have
that's
your
not
ragas.
the point. Issue at discussion here is this a prerequisite of that? Do you have to completely neutralize your ragas and dveshas before you become oh God, I'm forgetting the word, sattva samshuddhi? Before you remove cleanliness and
it will depend on intensity of your raga dveshas
Ah.
and the way you fulfill them. So there are two things. One is the force of your raga dvesha, and second is to the extent you want to fulfill them.
Yes. A lot of people still remain under their sway of ragas
Then
and
it becomes
dveshas.
dharma. Then intensity of raga dvesha has to be lowered.
वो तो है.
If the intensity is there, then dharma viveka will not come.
That is
for sure.
perfect. That is perfect. That is perfectly understood.
Basically, neutralization Neutralization means that you are not under the sway of your likes and dislikes. Because following dharma in karma yoga does mean that you'll have to do sometimes, work sometimes, or act whenever, even if you don't like it. Your
No,
dislikes don't matter.
I appreciate the explanations. My only thing is this a prerequisite of that? That's the only small point.
See,
Do you have to,
the
because you
point
can,
is, the point is ultimately that once you are totally hooked up in fulfilling your likes and dislikes at any cost. So somewhere you are cutting corners.
yes. No, I know that, Swamiji. What I'm trying to say is this is not such a difficult thing to achieve. This freedom from deceit and cheating is a much smaller and earlier step. And then you eventually, of course, you have to finally completely neutralize your ragas and dveshas. You can
Yeah.
remain a person very close to dharma and yet not be able to control your ragas and dveshas. That's my small point.
Yet
That's okay.
not be able to, that means
No,
you
in the
still,
long run, we have to. But today we are talking only of this one Devi Sampatti, where this particular point where Rajiv ji said that you cannot have the Devi Sampatti of Sattva Samshuddhi without neutralizing your Raga Dvesha first may not be. I mean, I just feel that you can continue to still be kind of
No.
mildly, not completely swayed, but mildly
We must
have your
understand
Ragas and Dveshas. But
what purity of mind means in Shastra. That's it. Swamiji will tell us what purity of mind means in Shastra.
purity of mind
Swamiji,
is actually definitely purity is conflict-free mind. When you compromise with the values, always there is a knower-doer split. I know this is the value system I have to adhere to, and I am compromising with that value system because I do something otherwise. Like very simple example, somebody has stolen my mobile. I always give this example. And same mobile, this thief does not want it to be stolen. Because his stolen mobile also he does not want to be stolen because he has a value for non-stealing.
No,
So
I just wanted to.
if he has a value for non-stealing and if he is compromising with this own value, what he knows, this is the value because he expects that from the society.
Yeah.
And
No,
that
I
when he
agree
is
with you, Swamiji, that in the absolute, there has to be an absolute cleanliness of mind if you want to really pursue Jnanam. But in this particular verse, Swamiji says it's a naturally certain cleanliness in your interactions or
definitely.
giving up of deceit, cheating, and falsehood.
Yes. That is
Which
there.
can happen even prior to your complete. I mean, this is something that has to be developed.
No, it's a gradual process every time. Nothing
Yes.
can be total, absolute in the beginning itself.
Because why we are learning this in chapter 16 is that these are the qualities we have to develop. Abhayam will not come overnight. But
Yes.
as your ragas and dveshas gradually diminish, definitely bhayam will also come down. Because a lot of our bhaya is connected to actually a lot of all these qualities that we're going to talk about are connected to ragas and dveshas.
Yes.
समझी वो कहते हैं ना कि पानी की मीन कब पानी पी जाए किसी को क्या पता You only know yourself
Translation.
that whether you are
No, how
had a
is that
deceit or not.
connected here, Dr.
Why are
Rajiv?
you not on the
Translation.
video, Vandana, today?
She's
My
written,
net,
Swamiji. She has written in her message. Her net is not working.
What I meant to say, Vandana ji, ki it's up to you
no,
only.
I
You
understood
only
the
you know it.
proverb. Yeah, I know the proverb, but how is that connected here?
Yeah, because once you have raga dveshas, you don't even know when you cheat or when you had deceit or you tell falsehood.
No, but that doesn't answer.
Because if your likes and dislikes are very strong, because many people see society will not know at large. These are your personal value systems. Who will know that I have not implanted the same lens that I told you. So this is what I mean. People do it all the time. It's not very uncommon. The society is full of people who do this.
Okay, let us stop the discussion this much here.
I
Only
think
this
Sondhi ji
point has
wanted
to
to say.
this much only this point is here that
One example, Swamiji.
Can
I say a small example? If my child is getting into trouble and to get him out of trouble, if I have to cheat or deceit or falsehood or something, I might stoop to that. Now, raga.
That's what Rajiv ji is mentioning here. But आपकी वो translation कीजिए ना क्या मुहावरा जो आपने बोला We couldn't understand.
Sharda, I
Pani?
just want to say that you only know yourself, most in
Ah.
most of our interactions, only the person who is a doer knows whether he has told a falsehood or a
That's true. So what
conceit.
was the
So this
what
is
was the
and
proverb,
and and
Pani?
and all this is for yourself only, for me only, not for anyone
Yeah.
else. That's what I mean. Because
Yeah.
in
No, but I
in
want you to
interactions with the
translate the
world,
proverb you
yeah,
said.
yeah, I said कि पानी की मीन कब पानी पी जाए किसी को क्या पता?
पानी की मीन मतलब?
पानी की
मतलब the
मछली
fish,
पानी
the
कब
मछली
पी
जो है,
जाए? मछली मीन को मछली
ओ
मछली को
मीन इज
संस्कृत में
मछली. अच्छा,
फिश
हाँ ना
हाँ.
फिश
मछली
पानी की
मतलब
मीन
no one
पानी.
will know it. No, this is what I meant.
Oh,
This is no one will know it.
correct, correct.
So the point here is actually how honest you are with yourself. That's the only point. You should remember this.
That's
Sincere
true. I
and
agree.
honest. So is in this honesty of your pursuit, how much you make up your mind only knows that this much I have compromised and here I have fallen, and therefore I have to be next time more careful and abiding rather than just falling prey to my own force of these likes and dislikes. So therefore, this is the growth, gradual growth, but you have to keep in mind that what is the end part wherein you will be able to overcome and you will be able to be in consonance with your conscience, right? So jnana yoga vyavasthiti, next value. So jnana yoga vyavasthiti is jnana and study in contemplation. Jnana means here self-knowledge as received from the Shastra and the teacher. It is Shankaracharya ji writes. And the meaning of the word Atma and of the word Brahman has to be properly understood. So therefore, what is Atma, what is Brahman, nothing is known. And then that is the problem. So then Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti is that the meaning of the word Atma and Brahman, total everything, what is the Vastu that you are trying to achieve? That understanding has to be released from any obstruction. Pratibandhakas, we call it in Sanskrit. What are the pratibandhakas? All this knowledge, our pratibandhakas are our own impressions, samskaras of our lives, past lives, this life, samskaras, which overpower of what we have heard already, Shravana and Manana, that Shravana you have done of the scriptures from the teacher, Satsanga, lot of Satsanga, you have understood about who you are, you know it so well, you have reflected upon it. I cannot be anything otherwise. It is logically I have arrived at myself. This is me. This body mind sense complex is a part of me, or I am not just this body mind sense complex, I am the whole universe. All that understanding, all that jnanam is there. Jnana yoga vyavasthiti is needed because this contemplation is needed to overcome your samskaras, your impressions, your tendencies, which you are hooked to. Your tendencies, in spite of your knowledge, in spite of your study, in spite of your exposure to the teacher and the teaching about this Atma and Brahman, still you fall prey because of due to certain lack of preparedness. And that is why these obstructions are there. You have to take care of these pratibandhakas, and that pratibandhakas are taken care of by contemplation to on what? On what you have understood. You have to bring back again and again in the mind what you have understood through satsanga shravana about this Atma is complete, Atma is adequate, Atma is secure, it does not need anything, it does not lack anything, there is no sense of lack and anything like that. And therefore, this is called Jnana Yoga here. And yoga is what? Here, meditation, Yoga Shastra. Therefore, you have to focus the mind, the meditation, and that meditation will release the knowledge from obstruction. Again and again thinking. And that the fruits of this knowledge are denied until you are established in your understanding. So contemplation upon yourself will happen what? How? Single pointed ekagrata. And that ekagrata is implied is this meditation. What is implied by meditation? Jnana yoga is this ekagrata. Single pointedly. Are you really sincere enough to have this kind of an ekagrata? So that what you have gathered from the teacher and the scriptures, that knowledge is assimilated, well assimilated. To assimilate that understanding, you need that kind of an ekagrata kind of meditation, single pointedness. And once you achieve this, I was really, when I was reading this Gita Home study today, this was eureka for me, these lines. I'm reading it. There is no need to stay in yourself. See, you stay with the knowledge until a time comes when you do not need to stay with it because it is yourself. What is the need for this knowledge? It is you already have understood, it is yourself. There is no need to stay in yourself. So, there is a need to stay in yourself, to abide in yourself, as if you and yourself are two different things. That was an eureka. These in between lines, I read that. So this tendency to spend time in contemplation is very natural to a person who has spiritual wealth. Daivi sampat. That is what Swami says. Right? So this next value. See, so Shankaracharya says Jnana Yoga Vyavasthiti is the most important one among all others to constitute Daivi Sampat. And Daivi Sampat is a wealth which consists of Sattva Guna and is therefore Sattviki Sampat. And for the word Sattviki, he gives a general definition in a brief and but important statement. Yatra Yesham Adhikritanam Ya Prakriti Sambhavati Sattviki Sa Uchyate. So what kind of a Prakriti? So that in these adhikaris, yatra yesham adhikritanam ya prakriti sambhavati. So those people, this prakriti in whom qualified people this happens, that is called as sattviki. And this is what is called as the most important value here. Note it. Right? Then next is what? Anybody wants to add any point? I think we have done it. Danam. What is Danam? Danam we have already discussed little bit. So Danam is charity. Charity of what charity you can do? As much charity you are allowed to do, that में जितनी चादर है उतना पैर पसारो. एक तो ये, and don't go on board कि फिर तुमको किसी और से लेना पड़े. Therefore, charity is only this much that you are, in Manusmriti they say 10% of your income. My father, Purvashram, whatever he used to earn, 10% he used to have a charity ke liye. That is the rule from Manusmriti. Whatever you earn, 10% of that you keep it for charity. So also they say that this kind of a dhanam to a legitimate person, your dhanam will become shuddha. The efficacy of dhanam we don't know. And I really understood after a long time, because I always say that you don't share, but by sharing your wealth, your wealth always grows. That is the rule in the Shastra, they say. It is never like that by sharing means you are giving away. It is nothing, you are giving what? Dhanam is expansion of your heart. And that is why you are sharing. What are all points Swamiji says you can read out. I have only remembered this much, that you can share, and that our Gautamji brought out this point, Daya, Dana and Dama. 3 das. So Dhanam is actually for Manushya, because there is a tendency to aggrandize and to be able to love everyone and share what is needed and give. That is not there. Any other point for Dhanam? You people don't read and study and make your notes. You should read, study, make your notes, be
There
prepared
are
for the.
lots of nice rules that they've talked about for Dhanam, that you should not ever give. Dhanam should never be done in a way that the person whom you're giving to should feel small. So it should be given in that sense. And then only that much should be given, that you should not become a beggar in future or
That's what I
depend
said.
for.
You don't have to take loan again.
Yeah. So all these things are there. So it's a very practical talk of Dhanam, which is very sweet. I thought it was very well written by Swamiji.
Dhanam could be materialistic as well as spiritual. It could be of any kind.
So what you have, you share. If you have knowledge, you share your knowledge. If you have time, you share your time. If you have wealth, you share your wealth. You have to. Even sannyasi means it does not have anything. But all brahmanas also, even though they don't have much, but they are also supposed to, Dhanam is the biggest value for everyone to have. Because that is
They
how
have
you.
knowledge, Swami.
Huh?
They have knowledge, Swamiji. You all have knowledge.
No, knowledge is okay, share, but still whatever you have, you can share. So whatever you have, you spare your time for somebody. You can teach some children, you can do whatever you have. The Dhanam is here in the sense of money and wealth and food also. Food also you have to share. Any other point, Dhanam? Then Dhamma.
Both giver and the given should feel blessed.
Yes. Then what is Dhamma? Self-restraint. What is the points of Dhamma? Nobody's read anything.
Dhamma, is it, we are talking about strength here? Strength,
Restraint
restraint, okay.
in the way you talk, the way you walk, all your actions.
Rajiv, what is Dhamma?
It's basically a restraint with respect to the sense organs and karmendriyas. It's basically um, because it's different from sama, where the restraint is at the level of thinking. Here the thought process has taken place and you don't want to act on the thought that you have had. So you restrain your senses and you restrain your organs of action not to do that. Say, for example, if you are a diabetic and you see a stall of, you go to a place where there are a lot of sweets, you may not go in that area. And if you go in that area, you just take a small bite and leave that place. That will be the example of Dhamma. So it has to be in all aspects of your life. Talking, spending, whatever way you can think of as a quality to be ingrained in all aspects of your life. This is Dhamma, Swamiji.
Anybody else?
Basically, it means not being swayed away with your fancies or your raga doshas and doing what is actually right, doing things according to the dharma, what is to be done, and not to be swayed by your fancies or your raga doshas.
Yes.
So basically, Shama and Dhamma are spoken together. So Shama is where you withdraw your mind and senses from the world in terms of not thinking at all, focusing on your inner self. But Dhamma is where you restrain when your action. So there's more of an intellect in Dhamma. And there are those 6 sadhana, just 4 of them, which come as part of the necessity requirement to become a adhikari or a
Who
mumukshu.
can tell me what are the 4-fold qualifications? Shama, Dhamma,
First, Viveka, Vairagya,
Viveka, Vairagya, Shatka, Sampatti, and Mumukshutva.
then
These are the
and
qualifications for
Virakti
gaining
also.
this knowledge. What are the 4-fold
Ah,
qualifications? Viveka is discriminative
Vairagya.
faculty. Vairagya, discriminative faculty means you have Viveka about what is your pursuit. And Vivek, we discussed 4 kinds of Vivekas. Then Vairagya, dispassion. Then 6-fold virtues of the mind. What are the 6-fold virtues? Shama, Dhamma,
Yakshapati.
Uparama, Titiksha,
Titiksha,
Shraddha,
Upareti,
Samadhan.
Samadhan.
Sama, Dhamma. Shama is what? Shama is what?
Withdrawal of your senses.
Restraining at the level of
Inward.
your mind, thought process.
So thought process restraining.
Ah.
Dhamma is restraining at the
Antarmukhi.
level of sense
Sense
organs.
organs and
Uparama is withdrawal.
withdrawal.
Sense organs. What example I gave earlier classes about these 3 things, Shama, Dhamma, Uparama. Suppose you are a smoker. You remember this example? Suppose you are a smoker and therefore you have quit smoking. Now you have come to Swamiji and Swamiji says you quit smoking and now you have to restrain your sense organ of smoking. So you restrain yourself with effort. After some time, this happens automatically and mind is, you don't have to restrain your sense organs. In your Shama is there then. The mind itself, that thought is not, you can, at the level of the thought itself, you can control that it is not required in my life. And Uparama is, then you have to still control your mind. But Uparama is you totally withdraw. Even somebody is smoking, you smoke, he's throwing at your face. Still you are not excited, or you don't get into that smoking, or you don't even think that you have to restrain your mind or senses. This is with really total withdrawal. That is Uparama. You understood? What is Shama? What is Dhamma? This example, through an example, you will know the values. Otherwise, you will never remember. Right? Now you remember this. Even if
Can I give one example, Swamiji? Swamiji, can I give one example?
Yes, yes, please, please. You are welcome to speak.
Yeah, like antidotes. When a snake bites, the poison is spread in the body. The antidotes being used. Like that, Dhamma is being acted in our thought process. When we go hayway here and there, then we have to restrain ourselves. Think properly so that it should be contemplating mind should be present. While, so I can use antidotes.
Okay. So now we go to Yajna. So Swamiji says about Dhamma, anything you have to restrain. Walking, eating, moving around, all your sense organs, whatever, talking. Talking you have to restrain, walking you have to restrain, all sense organs, organs of action, that you have to restrain. Then Yajna is, 2 kinds of Yajnas are there. What? Shrauta Yajna and Smarta Yajna. Shrauta Karma, Shrauta Yajna is what Shruti is telling you to do Yajna, that is Shrauta Yajna. So all the Yajnadi, all the Vedic rituals, mostly, Shankaracharya writes, and Smarta Yajna is all about Deva and all. So Smriti, at that time, the times of the Smriti, all the gods were there. So Deva Pujanam, all those things, Yajnas are enumerated in Smarta Yajnas. And Shrauta is all about the ritual, fire rituals mainly. Smarta Yajnas also fire rituals, but they are towards the gods of the Puranas and all those things. Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya here means daily recitation of your Veda. What your everybody is connected to some Veda, Shaka. And therefore, you are supposed to chant your Shaka every day. And you have to supposed to do the prayers every day. And that prayer, recitation of the Veda is considered to be the prayer. And therefore, you can accrue some punya by that recitation and go to other heaven, etc. You can take it to. And then with this punya, you can remove old papas, right? So recitation of Veda, Veda Parayana is a spiritual karma. And that is what is Swadhyaya. So Swadhyaya does not mean only study. Swadhyaya group, Swadhyaya also is this also. So also in your life, Swadhyaya means what is to be done ritualistically, prayers, etc. You have to do that. Right? Anybody wants to say anything? Otherwise, we go further. Tapas. Tapas is here. Shankara, he says, Shankara is defined Indriya Sanyama Purvakam. Sharira Pidanam. So Indriya Sanyama ka Purvakam. One thing. One definition is Shankara defined it as once you restrain your sense organs and Sharira Pidanam. And that everything, whatever you do for some ritual, some kind of a austerity, which will give you pain. So Sharira Pidanam. So these practicing various disciplines at the body level backed by the control of the sense organs is called tapas. Practicing various disciplines at the body level backed by a control of the sense organs. That is tapas. So many kinds of tapas have been enumerated and they become part of the sadhana for a jigyasu, Swamiji says. So now when we are talking of tapas after completing 15 chapters, therefore, so Bhagavan picks up this value for a jigyasu to cultivate. Tapas is mean to cultivate the assimilation of knowledge. So, tapas is a strong discipline you adhere to from really taking care of that what is needed. You have to have that attitude that I must do this. That kind of a will, a strong will in which the mind is taking you somewhere, but you have to really step in and say, yes, this must be done. And that is austerity. To be able to do, restrain yourself and to be able to do what is to be done for the establishment of the knowledge and for the disciplining of the sense organs and for whatever vows you have taken to pursue all those vows. Those are the tapas austerities. And tapas, Swamiji says, will be talked about later in the 17th chapter elaborately. So he does not, Shankara does not discuss it here much because it is going to be elaborately discussed in the 17th chapter. Arjava. Arjava is straightforwardness. And where we saw this Arjava, कुछ याद आ रहा है? कहाँ देखा था? 13th chapter. 13th chapter values में. हाँ? Amanitvamadambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam.
Antirarjavam.
First line. भूल गए. Amanit. These are the values in the 13th chapter. Amanitvamadambitvam ahimsa kshanti. Shanti means accommodation. Arjavam. Arjavam is what? Straightforwardness. Straightforwardness is what?
Speaking what one thinks and doing what one speaks.
Yeah, last class I told Antarangji. Where is Antarangji now? Here he
Thought,
is.
word, and deed.
So that is Rijuta Arjavam. Riju word से निकला आर्जवम. तो शंकरा defines आर्जव है रिजु भावो avakratvam. Avakratvam, straightforwardness and absence of crookedness. That crookedness should not be there. You are simple and straight. What is in your mind, that is in your words, and that is your deed. Then that is a very important value for a jigyasu. Okay. Anybody wants to add that anything to this arjavam? You know, arjavam means, Swamiji used to say, if you lie sometimes to somebody, you know, you're not straightforward. Then you have to keep thinking that you had said this to this person, that to that person. Your mind will be all the time crookedly thinking. And then you have to remember so much. इसको क्या बोला था, उसको क्या बोला था. अरे, that means you are gone. That's a problem. आर्जव means जो दिल में है, मन में है, साफ साफ सामने रख दिया. बस खुली किताब.
But Swamiji, you have to be tactful, no?
Now, tactful is okay, but that does not mean khuli kitab means open, you speak anything and everything in front of everybody. It is not like that. At the same time, wherever you have to express thought, word, and deed, integration should be there. That is arjava. And therefore, with this, your mind is available for the assimilation of the knowledge of the self, which you are employing your mind to.
Yeah.
All these values are to make your mind sattvic, so that you have enough time for contemplation.
Swamiji, it's also a natural value that comes by neutralization of Ragadvesha.
Yeah,
Basically, in
neutralization.
Arjava happens only once you strongly like or strongly dislike something. Then
Yes.
only you become conceited or you tell lies.
Yes.
Or you don't have the same alignment between what you think and what you talk.
Yes.
So it's basically it's a sampati which arises out of karma yoga or neutralization of ragadvesha.
So ahimsa. Ahimsa is the absence of hurting any living being. Any living being. Okay. Now you think what all ahimsa can mean to you.
Physical, oral, or mental.
Physical, oral, or mental. Mental is not taken in this place because adroha will come, and that is where Swamiji says, because ahimsa and adroha is coming together, so adroha will take care of the mental thing also. Okay, ahimsa, we have already discussed these values. We can proceed further because the next sloka is more important. Anybody wants to say anything about ahimsa? Ahimsa is the most important value because ultimately that everything is consciousness. You see, Swamiji was so mindful, but to going to some extremes that mosquitoes also he will not kill. So he will not kill. If somebody is sitting and then you do like that, na habit of this. He was not. He will just push it away, not kill it. Or the ants, when he used to walk on the ground, in Anakati Ashramam, there were all the time ants because it's a field of those kinds. The ants are. So you have to walk with so much of alertness that you are not killing. And Jainism is really extreme of ahimsa. So the kind of eating habits, the kind of their lifestyle, even मुंह के ऊपर पट्टी बांधने का मतलब भी ये था कि you are not taking into the air all the jivas and all anus. So this is going to certain extremes in being ahimsa in your value, in your things of what you eat. You know, your Jains are not allowed to eat the sprouts. Because जैसे ही आपने sprout किया, तो that sprout is, again, there's some new jiva is born in that sprout. You know that? The Jainas are not walking in the rainy season. Why? Because all the jivas are there on the ground, and that therefore you will kill them. So there is even in Hinduism also, we do Anushtana, sit at one place.
Chaturmasya.
Yeah. Satya. Satya is what? Speaking truth. Here this Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, it is not. Here it is not. Satya is here value of speaking truth. So there is a famous saying, Satyam Bruyat. Swamiji has given a quotation under your book. You can read that. Priyam Bruyat, na Bruyat Satyam Apriyam. Priyancha Nanritam Bruyat Esha Dharma Sanatana. This is from Manusmriti. Manusmriti 4:138. Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat. Satya should be Priya, pleasing. And when it is not pleasing, na Bruyat Satyam Apriyam. It should not be said. And Priyam cha Nanritam Bruyat. Priyam, something which is Priya, but it is not na Anritam. It should be pleasing and it should not be lie also. Na Anritam. It should not be lie. This is the Sanatan Dharma. We have discussed this before. I am going faster. You want to say anything, anybody, about Satyam? House is open for all. The value of Satya is the most important to be integrated in your thought, word, and deed. You know. Why anybody tells jhoot? Fear of facing certain facts. You are not able to say truth because you don't want to divulge, and you are not able to face the facts about your limitations. And not being truthful is, therefore, you are not able to face those facts, and further you are becoming weaker and weaker. That is what Swamiji writes. So honestly facing situations and the facts as they are. And then being honest in conversation in the way to overcome some of these fears.
Except when you have to comment on your wife's cooking.
And also sadhus have to be very careful when they go for bhiksha. They have to
Yes.
praise the person. Otherwise, next time you will
Oh,
not.
I will not like it if someone doesn't appreciate what I have cooked.
Sadhus will not be called for bhiksha.
Swamiji, that's why Manusmriti becomes so important, na? Satyam Vadam Priyam Vadam.
Satyam Vada, Priyam Vada.
Priyam Vadam.
Right. That's a good one you brought out, Shanti.
I knew Rajiv ji will have something to say.
Please explain that to us, Doctor.
तो नहीं, सच बोलो पर मीठा बोलो जी.
Akrodha. Absence
स्वामी जी,
of anger.
उसमें एक डोगरी में कहावत है स्वामी जी. आई एम सॉरी जस्ट इंटरप्टिंग यू. कहता है कि ने वो आखिर काने ही नहीं बोलना काना उदा सड़ी इंदा पिता उसी आस्था के ने पूछा तू अखे के किता मतलब नेवर से वन आइड दैट यू आर वन आइड जस्ट आस्किंग व्हाट हैपेंड टू योर आई. तो दिस इज सत्यम वादा प्रियम वादा.
Satyam Vada.
सत्यम वदा प्रिय वदा.
Priyam Vada. So that is always there, that this is very fact that you Satyam, you should not say, अरे काने, ओ काने, मैं तो सच बोल रहा हूँ. ओ लंगड़े, ओ लंगड़े. अरे, right. That's what he's saying.
अब तो दिव्यांग बोलते हैं.
दिव्यांग है. Akrodha means absence of anger. And therefore, this implies that, so therefore, akrodha means anger can come. First, we are really accepting there is anger. And the situation evokes those anger. And why it comes? Because of unfulfilled expectations. We have seen recently, second chapter. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसः संगस्तेषु उपजायते संगात् संजायते कामः कामात् क्रोधो विजायते. So from the desire, unfulfilled desires, is born anger. And then why? Because you draw some conclusions. And because you draw some conclusions, this is the most important point Swamiji has mentioned in the book. So conclusions you have drawn from some past experiences, and therefore out of those conclusions we have an anger towards ourselves and the world. And to resolve this anguish, what you have to do? You have to resolve
Different ways.
in a different way. In the conclusions are to be looked into. Always
Varies
something
from person to person.
varies from person to person. The conclusion, when you conclude something, there is a different way of handling those conclusions. Because of those conclusions, you are becoming angry. Am I right? Are you, Rajiv? I think people have not studied Gita on study today.
And Swami, these conclusions are often erroneous, no? So, so for a same thing, somebody may not feel as angry as someone else. And as Swamiji says that only the angry person gets more angrier. So there's already some kind of a anger or a krodha lying down under, and it gets triggered by something which is quite unrelated to what you said.
Yes. So
Like
Swamiji gives an example of a air hostess on a plane, and this man ordered something to the air hostess, and she brought a drink which was different. And then he shouts at the top of his voice in the plane on this air hostess. What's the point of just getting angry? Swamiji says you are here only for plane 2 to 3 hours from one state to another state in India you are going, and you couldn't have just requested. But this anger is erupting because you are an angry man within. Some things are there you are not happy with, and you get an occasion to boil up, because some weaker person is there in front, because you have authority. You are paid for the flight and they are your workers, and that is what your feeling is, and therefore you can shout. And all that comes. And this
the
is
classic example is the road rage that happens across NCR, Swamiji.
uh,
In Swamiji says that you are there in the flight for some hours. Here, so you just meet for a moment, and then you keep start shouting at others. So road rage is an example of this krodha, which is subsequent to something else. I mean, someone is honking just unnecessarily.
honking is an amazing thing, or speeding. So whole thing in Delhi, this road rage. That gadi aage. So in youngsters, it is their teenagers and people
No,
like
no, Swamiji, it's in everyone.
everyone,
No,
but
don't.
mostly. Yeah.
It's
So
in
it
everyone,
depends upon the
Swamiji.
maturity of the person, and therefore, my God, parking issues. Oh,
Yes.
people murder each other. I have
Uh,
seen in the paper news. I was
Swamiji, these
flabbergasted.
are the product. This is the product of the disappointments that people have every day,
Yes.
day-to-day life, because survival is getting difficult in big cities, and they have disappointments over everything. So they get manifested in the form of this road rage, uh, uh, all across every day. Honking is a road rage only, Swamiji. It's the worst kind of a violence against someone else.
So this mechanicalness in your anger comes because of your wrong conclusions, and therefore you have to look into your conclusions And therefore, you have to have some space within, between the knower, you, the one who is experiencing, and whatever, the pramata, and this automatic thinking, what is happening. The automatic thinking, and there is a ways and means to really check it out, that how you have to have space. Because when the thought comes, you become one with it, and there is no space left. You're not alert enough. So there are so many ways and means. They say you count 10, or you drink a glass of water, or you just move away. So many things are there. You have to devise your own methods. What will work for you? Nobody can tell anybody you do this.
Yes.
As the thought comes, you don't react to it immediately. You see what's happening. And that, to draw space, that space will become more and more evident when you start doing sadhana in the mornings with yourself, pranayama, things like that, prayers. And when you are doing conscious prayer every day, that conscious prayers, when you are doing that space, you will find between you and your mind. As the thought arises, you will be able to see it. That is why they say every day you have to consciously, you sit with yourself and have a routine of prayers, etc. So today's time is up almost.
And
So we,
Swamiji, actually, it's a as we study further and we study Shanti, basically, again, it's a resolution of mind only. As you said that it's
yes.
basically a vritti only, and you have to find it,
Yeah.
and that vritti is not you. You just have to understand that this thought is not you, and that will only happen once you contemplate yourself as someone other than this sense body mind complex eventually. And short of it, when you are not there, the gap has to be created by not immediately acting on the trigger that angers you. As you said that you count 10, take deep breaths, clench your fist, and clench your teeth, or whatever you do. But just let it pass by, because it's a momentary feeling of autonomous hyperactivity. So if you let it pass, it'll pass by you. But if you act on it, then the cycle of all will start. That'll
Yeah,
get initiated.
yeah, we saw
The
that
ladder
cycle,
of all will
ladder of
get
form.
initiated. That'll get triggered.
Ladder of form.
And ultimately, if you get bothered by that Vainashyate, you will not act on it. But if it becomes a habit, that does not matter. Then the ladder of all will, the Krodha will keep coming, and you will keep acting on it.
Everybody
And
is
then you will become Raksa or Asura, a Raksa basically. Then you will
Rakshasa, you
become.
become. Because people will have to protect themselves from you then. That is what is Rakshasa is. You see angry man's face. Or you see your own face in the mirror when you're angry. The contours on your face, the eyes are red, everything changes.
Very true.
So we stop it here. Then we will elaborately do, because time, I am very punctually 10:30 now. So Tyaga onwards, we will take all this. How much is left? Pages we will take up in the
Right.
next.
Should I post chapter 4, I mean verse 4, or should we
Yes.
wait
How
till
much is there left?
अभी काफी है.
Radhaji, let Devi Sampat be over, then only we
Let
start
Devi
Sri
be over.
Sampat.
Yeah.
अभी काफी
Let's not
बचा है
mix up.
स्वामी जी. We are
Let's not
not
mix
even
up the two.
halfway.
So half page, we are halfway only. So let us do only this in the next class.
जी
And
ठीक है.
let people study for the Thursday class. Kapilji, I will post you the Thursday class already posted, second chapter के कुछ verses हैं. You be there, that's all. You will be prepared slowly in the class. And,
We
Sure.
are completing chapter 2.
and anybody wants to say anything for today?
Let's hear out Kapilji only.
Kapilji, नहीं, Kapilji is okay. He will speak later. But he has already introduced himself. He is an IT man and he's in so many things. And today he has posted the whole about Sanatan Chetana's Manch,
Yes.
the whole,
So
what
those
is,
3 PDFs we have shared in the group, and I hope people read
I will
them.
pass on to Rajiv because I tried to add Rajiv, it was not getting added. Anyway, we'll finish this class first, then we'll talk. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinas Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Mritangamaya Om Purnamada Purnamadam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Thank you all. Stop recording.